Hey everyone, Martine here, Jayce's mom. So this video, I wanted to kind of inform everyone of what we dealt with from conception to now. So it began with our first sonogram. It was between month 3 and 4, and we went in for our first sonogram, expecting to find out the sex of our child, where we found out a little bit more. So our sonogram was done. The technician said that the doctor would come in and she would speak with us concerning the sonogram. We were both excited about the fact that, well, we thought that we were excited about the fact that we were having a girl, but we were told it was a boy during the sonogram, which which was okay, but both Dan and I wanted a girl. So, along with them telling us that we were having a boy, they had said that the doctor would speak to us concerning some other things that the sonogram would show. So, the doctor came and she basically asked Dad and I if we had ever heard of lymphangioma, which neither Dad or I heard of. And she went to the medical books and tried to explain basically what it was. Usually, it's a swelling that is in the neck, throat, or mouth region. If you looked it up or did a search, a lot of the images that you'll find would be that. So she explained that it wasn't in that region, that it would be in the region of his entire right arm and his entire back. Um, she said that she would do some more research and she would get back to us, sending us information within my next regular doctor's appointment that I had scheduled. So my next follow-up appointment that I had with my doctors, it kind of went weird. It was something that I had experienced on my own because Dad didn't come to this appointment with me, but it was weird in the sense of they called me into the room. Sorry. They had called me into the room, or they placed me in a room. They did, normal things that they would normally do, starting out. But they gave me um two different types of paperwork, and I never paid attention really to the second document, but I paid attention to the first document that was given to me because it was the paperwork that you would fill out for a birth certificate. Now, I mentioned that this is month 3, 4. I only knew of the birth of my daughter that I had so many years earlier. So but I knew that I never got this documentation at month 3 or 4. Usually it came after the labor pains and after the labor that you had to fill it out. So I was baffled, and I had asked the tech that had came in to take my vitals. I'm like, what is this paperwork for? So she had gotten a look of like concern on her face that, then went with, um you can tell like she was caught off guard with me asking the questions that I asked to her. So she basically said that the doctor would explain it to me when they came in. I still didn't look at the second document. So then the doctor had came in a little while after, and he began to explain what their plan was. So their plan was to essentially um, induce my labor, terminate the pregnancy, um, have me actually give birth, and then as he's explaining this, I look at the second documentation. The second documentation is the paperwork for a death certificate. So they, in their mind, I don't know if this is what um, was the greatest idea for them or the safest idea for them. I think it went along with the safest, but their plan was to terminate. My plan was to let go and let God because he had the final say. So they had spoken to me and told me he, the unborn child, Jayce, could die in the process of birth. I could die in the process of birth, or both of us could die in the process of birth. If we all survived, they then went on to tell me all of the difficulties that he would have, his plan of care, just the things that he would be met with. And with all of it and through all of it, I decided to let go and let God. I trusted that if he brought me to the point of having him, that he would bring me to the point of everything to follow and would give me the strength to get through it all. Even going against what I didn't tell a lot of family members. I told a select few, but even the few that I did tell, like even dad was fearful of the thought of we might not be able to have you. Like we can have another child, we can try for another child at another time, but if we lose you, what do we do? So even with that, like I kind of felt like it may have been a selfish thing, but just something in me uh just told me trust God and he'll get you through every and all things. So I went ahead and made the decision to stick with the pregnancy. And then the plan of care changed. So then doctors' appointments were a little bit more frequent. They turned into weekly instead of, monthly or however. I can't remember so far back with my daughter, but I know that it was a major difference for me being seen in sonograms every week and, doctor's appointments every week from month 3.5, 4 months, all the way up until the actual plan of care. Now, there was like they went into so many different steps where I had to carry a little card around that basically said the procedures that they should take, doctors that they should contact, just in case I went into labor early, if something should happen. There was a lot of steps that were in place or whatever. We did our research on lymphangioma, and 9 months later, through C-section, we had Jayce. The complications that they said that he would experience, he didn't, because God had him. The things that they said that we would have to go through, he didn't. Now don't get me wrong, he has his challenges. They're not many. And I believe that God had his hand on him in the womb. He still has his hands on him now. His plan will will always in every situation get the glory, and I've always just trusted in him. I don't know who this is for. I don't know who needs to hear it, but trust in him and know that he is God. Trust in him and know that he'll get you through any and all things. I um I went through so many different things, so many different thoughts on I'm human. Why me? Um, why do I have to be the one that goes through this? Why does my child have to be the one that has this diagnosis? So many different questions. And somebody, a friend of mine, had put it to me that there was nobody else that could take the role or play the role that of Jayce's mom. There was nobody else that could do the job. Like I was the assigned person. So I look at that and it just brings me comfort and lets me know that God's plan is always the greatest. So fast forward about 3, 4 years, um, we were always told lymphangioma, and then when he was born, they gave the diagnosis of Klippel-Trenaunay syndrome, which a lot of times I've been told Cloves kids or Cloves patients get that misdiagnosis of Klippel-Trenaunay. It wasn't until we had moved. Let me back up and say that Jayce was born in not in New York, where my daughter was born. He was born in Maryland. So we had moved back to Maryland. We moved back to New York in 2019. So that then transitioned with me having to look for doctors here. Um, no, nothing against Maryland, but New York leads in healthcare. So one of one of the doctors that I had researched, she's leading in her field. We had scheduled an appointment with her, and we had scheduled an appointment with another doctor that was leading in his field in malformations. So it was the weirdest thing in the world because both of them came up with the same diagnosis, but only one of them, which was the female doctor, she had actually, the moment she saw Jayce and the moment we walked in, she said, I don't think he has Klippel-Trenaunay syndrome. I think he has Clove syndrome. Um, when she was doing her research and the other doctors in doing her research and his other appointments and things that I guess just his medical records when she was going through them, she actually looked at the notes of the other doctor that we had seen in New York, and she actually said in his notes stated that he believed that he was misdiagnosed and it was a Clove syndrome diagnosis that should be what his diagnosis was. So the doctor let us know that it would be extensive testing that would have to go on. The results wouldn't come back right away because of all of the amount of testing that would be done, but there would be a true diagnosis at the end of all of the testing. And at the end of it, Clove syndrome is and was the diagnosis that they had given. At the time, and I still believe today, there are still less than 250 cases worldwide, not United States, worldwide, of cloves. I do my due diligence to reach out and search for other kids and other families around the world with cloves. Um, a lot of the times is to see what their kids are going through, or to share Jayce's story of what he goes through. There are so many unknowns with Clove syndrome, but so many things that are still out there that we just don't know. And because of the number, it's hard. Like it gets hard to know that a lot of what they're doing, they don't have an end result, or they don't know what the end result could be or should be. So it's a hard thing to deal with, but we're getting through. So this video, I think, is one to share his story, because a lot of times people won't ask. I don't know if it's considered rude. I don't know what it is, but it's like we'll get looks, we'll get stares, but we won't get questions. I'm a firm believer of education, and a firm believer of, in order to gain education, you have to ask the questions. You have to try to figure it out. And there's even family members that just won't ask the question. I don't know, what the reason is, but like I said, information is key, and I am never offended or put off for someone asking me what he's dealing with. What I do take offense with is when people say, what's wrong with him? We all have different things that don't make us all alike. They're not wrong. They're just things that we deal with. So and if you ever see me, I never mind answering a question. I never mind the intrusiveness, or if you feel like it's being intrusive, I never mind that. Um, just, take away the statement of what's wrong. Because someone going through depression, there's nothing wrong with them. There's something that they're going through. Someone dealing with high blood pressure, there's nothing wrong with them. There's something that they're going through. So just the question of what's wrong. There's nothing wrong with Jayce. Jayce is exactly who God designed him to be. He just has some things that he is dealing with. So thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. I should have mentioned this in the beginning, but click like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll take your comments or questions below and let me know what you would like the next video to be about, if anything. I'm open. Have a good one.